You're listening to the Hunt Stealth Podcast with Ryan Uffens, the podcast where we dive headfirst into the wild. Whether you're an aspiring hunter or an adventurer seeking the untamed, together we'll explore the strategies and stories that lead to success in the great outdoors.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Hunt Stealth Podcast. Excited to have Brad Hunt as our guest today. Brad is a hunter first, well, probably a father first, husband, and hunter first, then filmmaker. Excited to talk to him about his involvement with Brian's films, The Struggle, and then as well as Jay's film, which is a ton of fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching Wild Arrow. So, Brad, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on, man. We've been talking for a lot of years now, and it's kind of out of the blue. You were like, "Hey, I started a podcast."
Yeah. I'm getting better at podcasting than I am hunting. That's for sure.
Hey, that's what I'll tell you about. I bet the podcast is going to give you opportunity to hunt more. Hopefully.
It's opened up a lot of doors, and it's been fun to make a lot of connections, and just the learning that I've been able to do from this. I mean, we do 2 episodes a week now, so
right.
It's fun to be able to sit down and just talk hunting with people. And I always pull something away that just, I'm like, okay, I'm going to pin that thing and apply it later.
Yeah. And I think there's certain aspects that I can't relate to because I've been very fortunate to be hunting since I was a tiny little kid, like going with my dad and stuff, at 7, 8 years old, 10 years old. And then versus like you, as an adult onset hunter, it's different. And so it's like, there's certain things. I think a lot of hunters that have been hunting this way for a long time, we take advantage of a lot of the stuff and the knowledge that we have, and it just comes to us naturally, I guess, as we've done it over time. And then you're like, no, this is a whole new thing to me, and trying to learn and trying to take on a lot of stuff that other people will mention or how they do things, because everybody hunts a little different too. And being able to do the podcast, I'm sure, hopefully, it's allowed you to kind of grow and to learn from that and experience things for yourself, and give you an idea of something to maybe use.
It's given me a chance to do a lot of like retrospection on the hunts that I've done, and like the mistakes that I made have become blaringly obvious.
Right.
But it's good too, because the best thing that you can do is get out there and learn like in real life. Mm-hmm. But the second best thing is, so many people will, they go to podcasts, they go to Instagram, they go to YouTube to try and learn.
Yeah.
I feel very blessed to be in a situation to where I get to talk to some incredible hunters, from like all different walks of life, and how it's impacted them and made them better as hunters, and other aspects of their life.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, for sure. So experience is everything. We still, to this day, as many days as we spend out, like there's always still something that I can learn, whether it's a piece of gear that I'm going to leave in my backpack or take out, or, different animals, experiences that you get. Like there's always something to be learned when you are in the field, for sure. Always.
Yeah, it's interesting. So let me ask you this, like, typically I do the gear stuff like towards the end of the podcast, mm-hmm. But like what are your top 3 like non-negotiable pieces of equipment that you're not going into that you take on every hunt?
It's funny, but I would say boots is a big one. Because everybody's feet are different and everybody is a little different. So like what works for me may not work for you. But boots are a big thing, because feet, and if you're somebody that does have feet problems, that can wreck a hunt really quick. Like people that have really sweaty feet, which I don't. I wear Nike Free socks compared to everybody else that puts like a sock liner or a darn tough sock or whatever. I wear a Nike Free and I have 0 problems. And so that can be a huge thing. And I would say a backpack too, because most backpacks can 60, 65 pounds and less. Most backpacks are a pretty comfortable pack, but it's when you load it down with more water, or an animal, and you get above 110, 120, 130 pounds.
And film equipment.
Yeah, and plus film equipment. I mean, that's the thing is like
batteries.
With film equipment and 10 days of food and all my gear, I'm like 76 pounds before water. And that, again, that's with camera gear. I pack between 18 and 24 pounds of camera gear, depending on the hunt, who I'm with, and the kind of the scenario. Now, most guys, you should be around 50 to 60 pounds, 52 to 60 pounds roughly. But I think a backpack is another essential tool. And then, gosh, I mean, it depends on the hunt, but I would say like the stove and a teepee is a game changer, especially in the spring, like right now, and in the fall, late fall into the late season November hunts. Like having warmth and having the ability to dry your gear out will keep you in the field so much longer, is going to increase your odds so much more. So those are 3-4 essential pieces of gear that like I don't ever buy the cheapest thing. Like I'm a buy once, cry once guy. So it's boots, backpacks, and I would say the hot tent, because it allows you to stay out there so much longer. And then dialing your food and fitness, those are things like I don't ever want my fitness to keep me from going on the hunt and like stopping me.
Yeah, separate from gear. But like you said, like the boots though.
Yeah.
Like I got me a pair of like the sheep feet, and that was like a game changer.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I thought my boots were comfortable, and just having something like custom to your feet, and especially like the terrain that you're in, it's like uneven. Yep. It's not like going out walking on like a sidewalk or a road or a path. It's like uneven, and the boots make a big difference. My feet sweat.
Yes, I don't have that problem ever.
And I learned that one the hard way. I was like, I'll be fine. I'll just I think I threw on like a pair of like Carhartt. I mean, it was fall when we were out. I mean, it got hot, but it was cold. And anyway, wet feet, man, are not fun.
Yeah. Well, and it's not, even if you don't really sweat, you always have the chance of falling in a creek or a river, or your boots getting completely soaked. And so like you talk about gear. I mean, we always pack, even though my feet don't ever sweat, I always pack the boot dryers, because they're like 5 or 6 ounces. And being able to dry out boots, and then with the hot tent, and I can warm up my boots like on a November, December hunt. Because I usually wear my same super lightweight pair of boots all the way up until almost December. Like the boots I hunt in year round almost all the time. And
what boots are you running?
So we used to run the Crispies. I've been running the Schnees. We've all been kind of running the Schnees the last year. And we have some new boots that aren't out yet. I don't know if I can say this or not, but Schnees has come up with another pair of boots that we've had a lot of discussions with them, kind of like this is what we would like in a boot, and they've been incredible. Like they're by far my favorite boot I've ever had. But the quality is incredible with the Schnees boots. So yeah, like I said, from basically end of February into March, when I start doing shed hunting, and if I do go shed hunting a little bit, I'm wearing the same pair of boots all the way to December. And then I just start packing like the stick-on toe warmers. I'll just put those on the top of my feet, and that allows me to wear a really lightweight boot and still keep my feet warm. So just something we've kind of learned over time.
I like it. Yeah, I'm getting all sorts of nuggets here that I'm going to add to my repertoire. Excuse me. Have you ever had a piece of equipment fell on you in the backcountry?
Oh yeah.
And like that, and it was like a tough lesson learned?
Oh yeah, for sure. I would like years ago, this was like, I don't know, 2014. I think I had an Osprey backpack, and I had a pack frame that I've been using, but I had the Osprey. I killed the bull, and then I was like trying to load a little bit of meat in that Osprey backpack, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is not going to happen. Like, so I ended up hiking all the way back out because the backpack just wasn't sufficient enough, normal time I was just day hunting. But we've always had there's always something, like maybe my fire starter wasn't good, or, because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, like it was so much different. The gear has gotten so good now that it really feels like we're cheating when we're out hunting. Like, I think it's made us soft.
It's glamping.
It is. It's so glamping. Like, dude, I have unlimited power. As long as I can find water and I have food, like dude, I could spend 365 out and have all the power I want, have the warmth from the stove, the sleeping bag, the gear. Like, we are super spoiled nowadays. But, it allows us to go deeper, allows us to go further, and to stay out there longer, for sure. I remember years ago, a 7, 8, 9 day hunt was not that fun, especially without a hot tent in, end of October into November. Like, it was not fun. No hot tent, and it was miserable. Like, you wanted to come home early. So, there's too many instances to probably count where I've had gear fail. Even whether that's a rifle fell on you or a bow. Like, I've had things where a sight has broke or something like that. It's really cold, you fall. I've never had like a drastic thing like an injury or like the bow string being cut or something, but I've broke like some gear and things like that.
Yeah, I definitely use that as an excuse with my wife. I remember hearing somebody once say, like, 1 is none and 2 is 1.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, do you really need another pair of this or a pair of that? But
at least at the truck, yes.
yeah, at the truck, it would definitely.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot easier to make a trek back to the truck than the trip home.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
That ends a hunt.
Yes, it does, and I think too is as you hone your gear over time, you have less failures, and you're able to adapt and overcome. But we are, like you said, the 1 is 1, 1 is none. Like, we really believe that to be true because everything that we have in our backpack has a place in the system. Like, everything is a system. And so I want to carry as little as possible, but still be efficient. And so, just like the boot dryers, I can use the boot dryers to dry out my boots. I can put it up in the top of the teepee to be as a fan to circulate the heat when it's really cold to keep some condensation down. Like, everything is kind of just, again, a system. The layering system, the clothing that we wear, we take, it's all a system, and it serves multiple purposes, and I think as we've spent so much time out, you kind of hone that over time.
I know. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, I need to nail Brad down for another episode, and we could just do like a gear dump.
Oh, gear, dude! I'm a gear snob anyway. Like, Brian always would get mad at me because, like, I love to tinker, especially with, like, even my bow or gear. Like, I want to find the piece of gear that works the best, and, like, backpacking gear that's the lightest, the most efficient, and does the best job. And if it doesn't work, like, you will see, and even companies that not that we're sponsored by them or anything, but we have a partnership, like a code with them or something like that.
Sure.
But we tell them all the time, like, hey, if it doesn't work, like, it's not going in our backpack. I'm sorry, but there's something else that's better out there. Now, if you have the best stuff and it's the lightest or the most efficient, and it's working, it'll be in our pack. So again, spending so much time out, if it's working, there's a reason we have it in our packs. Like, and I think guys really turn to gear to us and the Gritty brand because we're testing it. Like, if it's not working, we're not using it. So, for the most part.
Yeah. And I know Brian has opinions for sure too.
Right. We all do.
It's fun. It's fun watching some of the episodes with you guys and seeing you guys kind of drill into some of the equipment that you have, and that's a lot of fun. So let me ask you this, and what are some brands or maybe gear innovations that you're most excited about for backcountry hunters?
I almost wouldn't even say it's innovation, but because it's been around for 100 years, 200 years, I don't know. But, like, going back to wool, like, we use our Duckworth stuff, and we have all this super nice lightweight synthetic stuff, the puffy jackets and the down jackets and stuff, which are great. But when you actually want something that works multiple purposes or works for multiple purposes, the wool jacket, like that Duckworth hoodie, it is one of the most favorite pieces of gear I've had in my backpack for the last couple of years. I started using Duckworth in like 2015. When they first were coming out, I bought a cheap hoodie. Wasn't a great fit, but I was working cows. I was working ranch and stuff and working the railroad. And I used that Duckworth because when it was raining, it was warm, and it was very breathable when it was fairly warm outside. I could still wear it and it's breathable. And man, over the last few years, like, we have continued to fall back on a piece of gear that's been around for a long time. Not saying that we still don't use the new innovative stuff, but just having, like, for example, that Duckworth hoodie, and then they have some other stuff that, like, I've been running in as it's been cold, being very active. Like a regular puffy jacket, I can't go running. I'm going to die sweating in
right.
that. But like the wool cloud jacket that they have, I mean, I go running that thing when it's 30, 35 degrees outside, and it's still breathable, and it's super lightweight. So it acts as a down jacket, but it's made of wool. And so I think that's one of those products that, again, all of us, you've seen it in the videos, the films, we've had them for a long time. And it's something that we've tried to, like, maybe not use as much, but we all fall back onto it. And so I think that, and then the innovation of backpacks, even in the last 7 years, like the backpack industry has changed with making a super lightweight backpack that's under, 6-7 pounds, dry, and being able to carry weight. Like, backpacks have changed a lot over the last few years. And again, everything has. Like, really, everything has. It's all innovated and changed some way or another to make it easier for us. But yeah, that's one of the things we always fall back on, is that Duckworth gear.
Yeah. I mean, I've known about the brand for a long time, and I need to probably go check out that hoodie. One of my favorite hoodies that I wear, and I think it drives my wife nuts, but everyone's going to make fun of me of this, because I've been asking questions like, what's the most overrated piece of hunting equipment, and the default for everyone has been camo. But I got the heavyweight hoodie, the Sitka heavyweight hoodie.
Yep.
So I love that thing, man. Like, I wear it to the gym. I mean, if it's I wear it when it's balls cold, and I wear it when it's just like this morning. Like, I got up, threw it on, went to the gym early in the morning, and it was fine. But it's comfy. Yeah. It's old, and dude, it is beat up too. Like, I mean, I've had that thing since I started, and I probably wear, it's not camo, like I said, solid black, but I even tried to find a replacement, because I'm like, this thing's getting kind of gross.
Yeah.
But I can't find it in the black anywhere. But I love that thing. You find that one thing that kind of is like your comfort piece. It's nice because you can go up. I mean, I love like the big zip. So if you start getting a little bit warm, you just like tear it down and let some air into your chest. And anyway,
and that's the thing, is regulating heat is super crucial in the backcountry. You're hiking around, even though it's 25 or 30 degrees, like, you're hiking around, you still get really warm. And at that moment when you sit down to glass, it's like, you layer back up. And that's where something like that Duckworth or a merino wool type hoodie, a wool hoodie, it breathes really well, but it still will keep you warm when you are sweating, and when you are like if it's raining outside or snowing, because it just, like the synthetic, that's the problem with some of the down stuff. It's awesome until it isn't. Until it gets wet, it's like, it's useless then. It's super useless. So you got to pack more things, your rain jacket, and layer up on top of that. And so, yeah, there's a lot to be learned, and we're all still learning. I still am.
Yeah. So on that, let me transition over to, because you talked about that, just the different situations you're in, and just like the mental toughness that is needed for backcountry hunting. And I think you guys are on like another level, because it's not just, hey, I'm going to go try and fill a tag.
Right.
It's, I'm going to go try and fill a tag, and we're going to try and capture it.
Yeah. Right.
and be able to do that. So like what are some of the mental challenges that you face as you're out there kind of pushing your limits and trying to multitask?
I think number one is, like, we all don't let our fitness be a problem. So, like, 365 days a year, we stay in shape. I'm the type of person, like, I very rarely go to the gym, but I will always hike with a backpack. I do burpees, and I always hike with heavy weight. Like, I don't just go throw on like a 25-pound backpack. The lightest pack that I'll put on is 50 pounds, but most of the time, like, I get into close to hunting season, or as I'm working up to hunting season, I always have like 100 pound. I have 3 setups. I have a 50, 100, and 150 pound sandbag setup that I will throw on my backpack. And people say 150 pounds, like, that's ridiculous. But at the same time, like, there's been multiple times that we've split between two guys packing a whole bull elk out plus all our gear in one trip. You know, there's been a few instances like with Brian a few years ago. He killed the bull, and we were able to get to the truck with all our gear and the bull on there, and we weighed, and I was 162 pounds. He was 137 pounds. Now, he had the awkward head of his 6-point, but it's like, it's no joke. And that can wreck a few guys. And so it's like staying in shape all the time is one, like, I mean, Lampers is one of the guys that, like, he is one of the few guys I think that challenges me on how fast I hike and going that far. Like, Brian does it as well, but he doesn't hike near as fast as Ryan and I. Now, if he needs to get to that point, like, he was probably one of the fastest I've ever met, you know, getting on an animal. But
if it's go time. But
yeah, but just striding out, like Ryan and I, you know, my dad, when he was younger, when I was in high school and stuff, like, he was one of those guys. I mean, he was like a goat. And so, you know, I'm sure there's a few guys like Brian Barney and some other guys out there, but we hike super fast. So I don't ever let the physical ability be a problem. And then, you know, like I said, having a good backpack that can carry that weight, because, gosh, like I said, we're carrying so much weight in camera gear that just staying in shape, like packing with the heavy load is irreplaceable.
Yeah. I know I like you mentioned, like, we've known each other for a couple years now. And, like, I remember talking to, like, Brian, I'm like, hey, dude, if you guys just need a pack mule, like, let me know. And then as I sit back and watch some of the films, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad they haven't taken me up on that, because, I mean, I'm in pretty good shape now. Like, when I very first started, you know, 4 years ago, I mean, I could go out and I could do it, but you guys go at a different pace, man.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, and you have to, because some of the places that you're trying to get into are just bonkers.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there's the physical side of it too, and then as we're trying to capture the hunt, you know, this has happened to Brian and many other guys where, and I still think there are probably many other camera guys. I know there are camera guys that are way better at capturing the story, getting good shots. They're just so much better as a camera guy than I am, because I didn't grow up as a camera guy. I grew up as a hunter that transitioned into learning a camera and photography. But where I feel like it has put myself above those guys is on the stock, like especially bow hunting, over the shoulder, spot and stock. Like, it's not easy to capture that and not blow the hunt. Like, Brian and those guys have had many guys that have, and I've even had a couple where the camera guy has blown the stock, and it's like super frustrating. And to this day, like, I really tried to make it a point to, like, not ever be the person that blows that stock when I'm trying to film. And I think growing up hunting and doing it a long time and doing a lot of spot and stock and really open country is helped me hone not only my hunting skills, but my camera skills too. Cause, like, there are instances, like, some of our footage got lost a couple years ago. It got deleted. So nobody ever actually saw a lot of that hunt, but I was filming Brian on an elk in really wide open country, and he had no idea. He thought I was up the hill 100 yards. Well, I was right behind him sneaking as he's sneaking on the elk. And when he shot that bull, he shot it at, like, just over 60, 70 yards, like 70 yards. And I'm right over his shoulder, and you see the arrow come out. He's a blur. He draws back, you know, and shoots that bull. And when he turns around, like, he goes to look up the hill, and he realizes that I'm right there, and I just captured it all. Wow. And it was one of the most, to this day, I've yet to really see that good of a spot and stock film, and we never even got to show it because the footage got deleted. Like, I think we have 2 Instagram clips of the hunt left that Brian had just happened to post, you know, a few days after. And so we have like 2 15-second clips where the bull comes out, he bugles, and then that was it. So I think that is always a really hard thing for people is the spot and stock and knowing what you can get away with, because I can get away with a lot more on elk than I can with mule deer and or coos deer, or I can get away with a lot more with a bear than I can anything else. And so it's like you learn where a lot of other guys, they don't know that because they haven't had that experience hunting. Like I said, they're a better camera guy, but they blow the hunt because, you know, whether it's reaching up to adjust the camera lens or making a noise or whatever it may be, I've tried to really hone that and try and perfect that, do as best as I can, so knock on wood, I've never blown a stock over the shoulder when I've been filming for somebody. Now, hopefully it never happens. I'm not saying that it won't, but knock on wood, I've been very fortunate, and we've captured some incredible stuff.
When you're deep in the wild, you need fuel that won't quit. ReadyWise Pro Meals delivers over 30 grams of protein and over 500 calories per serving, keeping you strong for the hunt, the chase, and whatever the backcountry throws your way. From the protein-packed breakfast skillet to the bold Thai coconut cashew curry, these lightweight, freeze-dried meals are ready in minutes. Just add water and get back to the adventure. Made in the USA and built for hunters, explorers, and anyone who refuses to slow down. Get yours at ReadyWiseOutdoor.com and use promo code STEALTH for 10% off your next order.
And we've captured some incredible stuff.
Yeah, it's fun seeing the footage that you put together, and you guys are good at telling stories through film.
I mean, Brian's incredible. Like, he does most of the film editing, and you can see from 3, 4, 5 years ago till now, like his storytelling capabilities have just, man, they've increased 5-fold, 10-fold from what they used to be, because again, he's done so many thousands and thousands of hours of editing and storytelling that he kind of learned like how to tell the story in a really good way. And I've tried to help capture that with the camera, trying to film, because we don't really do a lot of like shot lists or stuff, but in the field we do a lot of in-field production, and we've learned
so when you're shooting the films, you're not going like, okay, here's how we're going to do this. It's just kind of instinct.
Yeah, I mean, there's never been an instance where we've gone and reshot something and we're like, because I didn't get this shot, now I got to get that shot. No, it's like we're trying to tell that story as it happens, and one, it makes it authentic, and two, like it's fairly raw. And again, Brian has gotten so much better at telling that story, and we've also got better at capturing B-roll too. Like, yes, there are times like, say Brian or Ryan are having a conversation and they talk about some stuff, and then I'm like, okay, in my head I'm like, click, okay, I got to get some of those shots to help backfill in with that B-roll, just so you're not sitting there listening to a talking head all the time. Now again, that's kind of our field production as we're in the moment. And there's some shots we know that we want to get if we're in a certain area we've been in before. Not saying that we don't have those discussions, but I don't go like, oh, I have to get this, I have to get this, I have to get that. We don't do that. But we do have a pretty good idea in our head, like what's going to help tell the story for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because so many people nowadays are trying to like capture their films and that, and sometimes they're doing it by themselves, and sometimes they've got a buddy out there helping them. And I do think that's a good idea. Like if there's a conversation that's captured, like post-production or out in the field, like, okay, I remember this conversation. So if we have a certain type of scene that you can capture and then go back and add that in, like, I think that's what makes the films you guys do so good.
Yeah. And I'm going to give away like probably an incredible filming nugget, I guess. But we always film like in 2 stages, because one, audio is king. Audio is always most important when I'm filming. Like, if I have bad audio, it's hard to use a really pretty shot if my audio sucks and I have no like audio to back that shot up with. And so audio is king. So it's like I'm focused on audio, and then if I get really good audio and it's crisp and clean and they're telling a story, then I'm like, okay, I can go back and I can get these shots. It's really hard to do it in the moment. Like, you'll see, especially if somebody's not using like a lav mic or something, you're using just a shotgun mic and you got it pointed at their face. The guy's talking about something. Well, then in the middle of the conversation, the camera guy will turn away to try and get that shot, but then your audio just cut out. So it's like, nope, film the guy, get all the audio, then go back and get that B-roll shot that you're going to use to overlay as he's talking about it. And
is that a struggle to capture the audio? I mean, like, what are you guys using to be able to do that out on your hunts?
Yeah, so we have a really good shotgun mic, and there's a lot of different variety of stuff that you can use in different brands and products. But we've had really, really good luck, and the audio is just incredible with it. And the way we can use that audio, even fix it a little bit if we can, if we need to. But we use the K3M, the Sony K3M shotgun mic. It's an XLR mixer. So we can capture that with the shotgun. And then on top of that, we can use the second channel to bring in audio off of a lav mic. So we can have both the shotgun audio and lav mic audio at the same time. Because what people don't realize is a lav mic is nice because you get the really clear audio of the voice. But what people don't realize really makes a lot of films is having the natural sounds. Your birds, the water, the wind. Those things really play a huge impact. And you can't get those with a lav mic. Like the lav mic, you get your really clear audio, but you don't have those natural sounds. And so with that shotgun mic, you can capture that. And you got to be really focused on how you are capturing that audio. Because like if there's a creek behind us that's raging, like you sure as heck better not have that microphone pointed towards that creek, because you're not going to hear the person talking very well. You're going to have a lot of white noise and you're going to have a lot of that creek sound. So it's like turn around. You're still going to get some of that creek running, but turn around, face the other way, get the guy's voice, and have them talk into that creek or the wind or whatever. And there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like you guys were dealing with a lot of wind on the film with Jay.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I didn't have the best. Those were our older lav mics. So, like, that was a year and a half ago when I was filming that hunt. So it's not like even now, from then until now, like my filming capabilities they're 5 or 6 times better than they were at that time. Like I was doing good, but I'm a much better producer in the field now than I was then. Yeah. But
and I wasn't being critical of it. I mean, you could just see that there was like there was wind. Mm-hmm. You guys were dealing with wind out there
for sure.
And that was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, just knowing Jay and those guys, and man, he was super happy with.
Right. Oh, exactly. And I think the other thing is too is knowing, it's easy to capture B-roll and stuff when you've already talked about it. But say you're going from point A to point B and you're hiking and you're crossing creeks and stuff and you're not getting a lot of audio, you still have to be like, oh, I got to film all this stuff because we're going to talk about it later. So it's kind of a reverse role of what I was just talking about before. So again, you can never have too much film, but you also want to not just have a bunch of garbage that you're filming that is not going to be useful. Like try and make all your film that you're capturing, make it useful, not pointless, just walking around a whole bunch. So
well, and I'm still at the stage where it's hard enough for me to even find an animal to shoot. So I don't even, we want to try and film ours mostly just for our own entertainment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm doing this with my son and, Dustin and Quinn, we're going down, we want to film. He's got an elk hunt, manti.
Okay.
Manti. Yeah. He's hoping. The draw odds are saying that they are in his favor. So he put in for that manti unit, and we're going to go down and help him, and it'll be fun to be part of that. We'll get our over-the-counter tag and see if we can. I just want meat in the fridge, man. If I can get a spike or a cow down there, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But
technology has come so far. Even in 2021, there was a bear hunt we did with Adam Weatherby. Kind of one of the first hunts I'd done with Brian and Ryan and those guys. I've done a few with Brian, but that was the first real big backpack hunt I'd done with them. And 100% of Adam's shot on that bear, the whole hunt, I filmed with my iPhone and a digiscoping adapter. So it's the technology on your iPhone nowadays is incredible, especially if you get another app and don't use just your phone's camera. You get an app, you can create really good picture, you get some bokeh, it makes it feel a little more cinematic, and then an all-in digiscoping setup, you can capture incredible long distance footage, and all with a little 10-ounce device in your pocket. It's pretty incredible.
It's crazy. I've seen some of the films that they, Apple espouses like, hey, you can film this, and it's just a matter of sitting down and figuring out how to do it. But one thing that I do have going in my favor is that Jackson, my boy, like loves film.
Okay.
Loves filming, loves talking about it, like equipment. Like he's like a gear junkie when it comes to the hunting stuff. Me, I'm like, get me like a bow and a stick and like let me go get on something. But we've he had a fun time. We bumped into Brian not too long ago, and Brian was very generous in his time. Like they were talking equipment and fun stuff. It was fun to see that.
Yeah,
so
good. Yeah, we did a podcast. Finally, we did a podcast a few months ago, 5 or 6 months ago, where we actually covered kind of like a lot of the gear that we are using, camera gear.
Oh yeah.
And what people don't realize is all of our footage is we run it manual. We're running photography settings to capture video. So it's not just a set it and forget it. Like we have to, you have to understand to get the film that we're trying to produce. Like you have to be really in tune with the camera itself. I mean, we've spent so many hours behind the cameras. It's like, I can't remember who said it. Somebody said it and they said, you're at the point to capture good photography or good video when you have to adjust something on the camera and it's second nature. Like you don't have to look at it. You can just have it memorized on your hand, which, as you really think about, like, it is true. You have to understand whether that's the ISO or the aperture or whatever it may be, or a clarity setting or whatever.
Yeah.
Being in tune with your camera will allow you to really capture much better footage.
Yeah. Well, and it exposes me that, my full-time gig is I'm a sales guy. So like sales guys by nature are always looking for the shortcut.
Yeah. Right.
And it's fun to see him. Like we've gone out and just like shot a few things just, for fun. And I'm seeing what you're talking about, like it's second nature. He's like, no, he's like, I told you do this because I'm trying to do it to capture him.
Right.
So that he has some footage of him doing some stuff. And he's like, just comes up and it takes him 2 seconds. And I'm like, he's like, just walk away, go get the tripod, just sit it on it and just let me do it myself.
Right. No, it's not easy. You can get like a camcorder and get some really good content. But again, like your cell phone, it's honestly really hard to beat that footage for such a lightweight product.
Yeah.
With spotting scopes and stuff, you're going to pack the spotting scope anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like being able to film with it. I mean, it's better than nothing. It's better than not capturing it.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So, Brad, tell me, I want to talk a little bit about your filming the struggle and Brian's video of his elk hunt. Like, maybe just share like your insights onto that and some of the behind the scenes things that happened. Yeah,
like you don't see a ton of the other bulls that were called in. Like there's a few, but that was a limited entry hunt that Brian drew. It took him 19 years to draw that tag. And so when I was calling and the caliber of bulls, like I felt like I was cheating. Like I'm used to, and it's still all public land, but I'm used to like the regular over the counter stuff where you make cow calls or you make certain calls and those elk are out of there. Well, man, it was like, I swear every bull that I wanted to call at was coming in. And then, it's not always easy. I mean, it's like I think Brian said it best. It's a self-inflicted pressure. Like if you want to just go in there and kill a bull, great. You could do that. You could have done that on day 1, day 2, maybe day 3, but killing a big bull and passing on all these other bulls, like that's not easy. Again, it's self-inflicted pressure and added stress, but that type of hunt, man, it was incredible. And being able to capture a lot of incredible elk footage, like his bull fighting. I mean, that was cool. When bulls are locked up like that, it's like, if you're close, get in there and you can get a shot because they're occupied. And it was crazy watching that. Cause I mean, like you guys were right on top of them. Yeah. When we popped over and they kind of locked up, we were 65 yards from them. And then Brian snuck into like 40 yards and that's when he shot him. But yeah, just being able to, also like we did spend so many days, like we were able to capture some really incredible footage and have a ton of footage. I mean, we had, I don't know how many, probably close to 20 hours or more of footage.
How much time did you guys spend up there? And I mean, did you go in on every time with him when he went to kind of, prep for that hunt?
So like we started scouting, hanging cameras in June. And so he spent like 5 or 6, 7 days down there at first. And then I went on the second trip. We spent 4 or 5 days putting up more cameras. And then we went back at the end of July and spent another like 6 or 7 days pulling cameras, checking cameras, glassing, trying to find routes to get to different places. And then on the hunt itself, like Brian basically spent every day on that hunt. It's open like 30 days, I think, something like that. He was there 3 or 4 or 5 days before the hunt, hunted all the way up until right at the middle of it. We took basically 3 days off. So I missed the first 5 days of the season. I was home doing other stuff. And then I went, spent about 10 or 11 days down there. We decided to come home for basically 3 days. And then we spent another 10 or 11 days down there before he actually killed. And we had 2 days left in the season. So we pretty much, I think total, we probably spent 40 to 60 days. He spent closer to 60 days total probably down there. 5 or 6 hour trek down, and a lot of time was put into that.
Yeah, you guys have some incredible footage. Yeah, I know one of my boys' favorite parts was when that bull was out in that marsh. Mm-hmm. Just starts pissing all over himself.
Yeah, when I first saw that bull, I was like, because I'd been doing some calling, and a bull we didn't show. He was a nice 6-point, nothing to write home about in a unit like that. I mean, a regular over-the-counter tag, yeah, he was a shooter bull. But he's like a 310 bull, 320 bull, maybe. And so in that area,
dude, I'd let it fly.
Yeah, and in that area, again, it's all self-inflicted pressure. But in that area, it's like that's a smaller raghorn, basically.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy. That's crazy that's a smaller raghorn up there.
Right. Where almost every over-the-counter tag, I would have shot that bull instantly, like for sure. Yeah. But in that area, you're wanting to try and find the biggest, the best bull because you'll never draw it again. He'll never have that hunt again.
Yeah.
And when I first saw that bull in the meadow, at first I was like, oh, he's a big bull. And then I got to look at him and I'm like, oh, no, he's just a smaller bull, but he was cool.
Yeah.
3, 4 years, 5 years, that bull will be a stud. But that's the thing with those.
And then it'll be your turn.
Yeah, I'll never draw that. Not as an out-of-state resident, I'll never draw that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
take me 30 years to draw that. And
you're young, Brad.
It's true. I'm 36, but
that's young.
It is young, but I'm like, man, Utah now is $2,300 for a tag like that. So I'm like, I'll go elk hunt elsewhere.
Yeah,
and that's what sucks. So there's more opportunity for cheaper price, and being an Idaho resident, like I can elk hunt every year, so I don't have to worry about it. And so
I know I keep trying to convince my wife. I'm like, we should move up to Idaho.
Yep, Idaho, Montana, or Wyoming. Those are the 3 states I would live in.
Yeah, that's fun, man. But yeah, that had to have just been like a fun, just adventure.
It was different because it wasn't like it was the backcountry grind that we're normally used to.
Yeah.
Every night we went and camped at the trailer for the most part. We stayed a few nights out on the mountain, but almost every night we were able to just zip back to, whether it was 10 miles in the side-by-side or 30 miles in the side-by-side or something. We could get to a spot, hike 2 or 3 miles in, come back out, zip back to the trailer, have a comfortable bed to sleep on with the canvas cutter or something, And so it wasn't like it was physically grueling, but it was mentally grueling because, you're passing on bull after bull after bull, and it's like, when's my opportunity going to slip away, Or when am I going to have that giant bull come in and, am I going to get a shot or am I going to screw it up? Or so.
Yeah. Well, it was fun. Yeah. It was fun.
Self-inflicted pressure.
Yeah. I mean, that's like you said, like I'm an adult onset hunter, and like I decided, hey, I'm just going to do archery until I get a bull elk.
Yep.
And it's like, everyone's like, archery? Like, did you wanted to start with the most difficult thing to do? And I'm like, yeah. And it's encouraging and discouraging because I hear people, it's like, it took me 7 years to get my first bull with with the bow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm halfway there then.
Well, and I will say, things like going to, say, Hawaii and going bow hunting goats and going to bow hunt access deer, like, or Texas, going to hunt pigs or whatever it may be, or going to a state that you can hunt a bunch of whitetail, like getting those kills under your belt, like, it increases your experience, like, just so much. Like, I can't emphasize it enough how beneficial that is, because you learn how your body reacts when you're in that tense moment right before a shot breaks. Some people are really calm, cool, collected. Other guys are going off the rails. So being able to do a lot of stalks, like on axis deer, or like down south, Arizona, Texas, Mexico, New Mexico, hunting like coos deer, where there's tons of deer. Not really Mexico, but those other states where you have a lot of opportunity, kind of help hone your stalking abilities, know what you can get away with. Mexico's not that way. Mexico, there's few and far deer, and deer are few and far between because there's no predator management down there. But being able to get all those stalks in with the bow, like, you're going to learn so much more than getting one opportunity in an elk once a season, And so it's you didn't learn a whole lot.
Or once every 4 years.
Right. You're not going to learn a whole lot. But if you can go to Hawaii, go have tons of opportunity to spot and stalk a bunch of axis deer. Because I will say, I did it with Drew Miles from Tricer this year in August. They are switched on. Like, they are keen. And they're not like even coos deer. Like, when those axis deer blow, they are gone. Like, they don't stick around. Where coos deer, it might blow and stick around for a minute. Those axis deer don't. They run off and they're gone.
They're gonzo.
And so I shot a buck with my bow we landed and we went out, and like within 3 hours I was on axis deer, and I had a giant that I was just waiting for him to clear the trees. I was 42 yards. I drew on him, and all he had to do was step out of the trees, and they were rutting so hard that this doe and this other buck came like 4 feet from me, and she saw me and blew, and so she blew the whole thing up. And then I got on another buck, and I shot a smaller buck like an hour later with my bow, but we'd been off the plane like 3 hours, and I shot one with my bow, and it was pretty cool, like, because they are so switched on compared to any other animal.
When are they in the rut in Hawaii?
Hawaii is kind of all year, because there's like, you can have some, just because as they've not different breeds, but different lines have come in when they brought them there. So it's like, you'll have some bucks that are in the velvet and other bucks that are hard-horned going nuts. And so It's kind of year round for the most part. And there are certain areas. Yeah. It's crazy. Kind of Texas is the same way too. But August was awesome. Like, it was awesome. A lot of pig opportunity. The axis deer, ton of opportunity there. You can go to other islands and do like a DIY, and you might not have as many deer to hunt. You have a few, but you might have more opportunity at goats or something to hunt. So it's cool.
Was hunting an axis deer, was it something like, was it like a bucket list thing for you, or was it just kind of like the opportunity presented itself?
No, I've wanted to do it since 2014. I went to Hawaii in 2014. My sister got married over there, and we were in this big canyon, and I saw these goats. And I'd seen it on TV, and I had heard Brian Barney talk about it and stuff, and I was like, that'd be cool. Well, I didn't get to hunt it when I was over there, and then I've always wanted to go do it, but it's just trying to find a time or whatever. And Drew was like, hey, you're coming to Hawaii with me in August. Let's go hunt. And so again, the opportunity did present itself, but I've wanted to do it for a long time. And so I was like, well, I'm bringing my bow. Like, I want to just bow hunt it. And we ended up rifle hunting it too. Shot a few with the rifle, but because there's no like tags or whatever over there. But
there's not? I didn't know that.
No. So like in Maui, it's all about access. So we ended up going through, like, we were kind of able to do it ourselves as far as like some of the stocks and stuff. But we went through, it's called Conservative Game Management. Chase is the owner of that. And he invited Drew to come over, their friends. And so we went on his place. He basically has a lease of all these farms. And so in that particular area, they say there's anywhere between like 15,000 and 70,000 deer. They don't really know.
Yeah.
But the opportunity, there were a lot of deer there. And so we were able to hunt them, and they have a couple different types of hunts. You have your weekly low volume hunts where they're killing like 3 to 6 deer a day. And then you have your weekend hunts that are like high volume hunts where they're killing, between all their guys that show up, they're killing between 15 and 45 deer in a day.
Wow.
So it just depends, because you have a lot of opportunity, and you have to kind of hunt the farms at certain hours. You can't really hunt it early in the day. So it's one of those hunts with Chase where it's like, it's nice. You can go hang out with the family, go to the beach all morning, and then you don't start hunting until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But you have a lot of opportunity for pigs, for access deer. And like I said, if you go to a different island, there might be some more goat opportunity, or if you're in a different area than we were, you might have some goat opportunity. But just getting those stalks under your belt are invaluable. The more experience you can get stalking on an animal and learning how you're going to react in that moment really, really helps a lot, and helps how you're going to perform when you shoot that animal. Like, it's not easy because, you get a bull screaming in your face, or for me, a mule deer that stands up at 40 yards. It's a big buck. Buck fever is real. Like, elk, I don't get that excited about. But mule deer, man, I lose my stuff on mule deer. So
Really?
I'll throw it out there. Mule deer is superior over elk. I'll get a lot of hate for that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, here we go.
Yeah, and here I am. Like, I've called in the world championships. I've called a ton of elk my entire life, but I love mule deer, man. Like, I think they're one of the hardest animals to hunt in the big mountains, public land. Like, they're one of the hardest animals to hunt for mature deer.
Yeah, we went up. We saw a nice buck this fall in the extended when we were up, and we did have, again, if it was me and I was the one with the tag, I'd have shot at Little Forky, like walked right up to us, like 40 yards, and then it sees us, and he like turns. And for about 10 seconds, and Dustin, who you had been talking with, I was with him, and I think I have some video of it. I just shot it on the phone. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but he's like, I don't know if you could hear it in the video, but he's like, I'm not going to shoot it. I'm like, okay. He's like, I don't want to shoot it. He's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, Dustin, it's your tag, dude.
Yeah,
like, you're up here. But I had never been out with anyone and seen one shot, but I was like, I'm like, it is possible.
Yeah. And especially if they get you rutting, like, the bucks get a little more stupid in the rut, but the problem you have in the rut is, yes, the bucks got more stupid, but you have a lot more eyes, like the does and stuff. Like, you're hunting them. You're trying to avoid them to get to that buck, because that makes it a lot harder. Because those bucks, again, you get that rut kicked in, they get really sniffy. They don't get dumb, but they get dumber. The rut kind of equals the opportunity towards the deer, but again, you have a lot more other factors too: the snow, the crunchiness, the cold weather on those types of hunts. And then you have the does that are keen on stuff, and so they'll alert the bucks when something's in their path. But those hunts are fun because you always have a lot of opportunity usually.
Yeah.
On those rut
hunts. And like I said, one of the things that I've learned from elk hunting now and trying to call myself is that my cow call is actually like a mountain lion.
Well, I'll tell you what, like, people probably won't agree, but I've called a lot of elk, and I feel like I am a very, very good caller, especially, I can sound like Brian's been a part of it. He's heard it. A few other guys that I've called for, I can sound like a party of elk. I sound like I'm 10 or 12 cows and calves, and there's a party going on. But in high pressure areas, the only call I will ever use is a calf call, a lost calf call, or a calf sound. I won't cow call. Never. I've been doing that for about 7 years now, and it's paid off a lot. Like, I very rarely ever cow call or bugle.
Okay.
So calf sounds are your go-to. So
good to know. Good to know, man.
To help anybody out. So
I'm starting to get the sympathy advice here, and I'll take it.
Yep. No, like calf sounds is just, man, you don't get the cows don't get on edge. The bulls don't get on edge versus like cow calls. They're kind of like, who's this hussy,
Yeah.
coming in here. Where calf calls are like, they're cool. They're feeding. And it doesn't work all the time, but it works most of the time.
Yeah. Prevents you from blowing up the herd and getting them all run out.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. What, have you got any hunts planned this year? Anything that you're going out? I mean, I know we talked a little bit, your boy's coming of age and
yeah. So he hunted a little bit of deer last year. We're headed out here in about a week or so to go do some bear hunting for a few days. I can't pull him out of school like I would want to, go for 10 or 12 days.
That's why you homeschool, Brad.
Yeah, I know. We used to. And now, like in a smaller town, he likes the social aspect of things and stuff. And I think it's good for him. So we're going to go do some bear hunting. We're going to go do some stupid turkey hunting. I'm not a turkey fan. Never killed a turkey in my entire life. But he killed a giant bird last year, and we're going to go try and kill another one here shortly. And then whatever tags we draw, like he'll have an elk and deer tag this year, his bear tag. So that's my sole focus is first and foremost, get his tags filled. Then I'll go hunt. Hopefully I draw a couple other tags this year that I, get lucky on. Maybe a sheep tag. Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah.
Some mule deer tags, but that's kind of the plan. And again, it's all tentative till we actually get all the draws out. So
when you go with your son, do you try and film anything, or you just just try and have you?
Yeah, like he shot his antelope last year, and I didn't really, because that was like his first big game animal that he'd shot. And yeah, I probably should have filmed it. My buddy had got some of the footage like from afar through his digiscope. It's not great footage, but you see us sliding down for 200 yards for 2.5 hours on our butts because we had no cover. And so we just slow played it all the way down to get into range. And then he got the shot kind of on film, but it's, again, not great footage. But
it's also, I think it's also nice for you just to be able to be there and be present with him.
And on antelope, that's what it was. Is like, I just wanted to, again, we probably should have filmed it because it's something to remember forever. But it was his first animal. I wanted to make sure he was going to make a good shot because the last thing I want is for his first experience to have to go track an animal and lose an animal, I made sure like we were not shooting over 300 yards. Like he is so capable of shooting 400, 500, 600 yards, especially with the rifle setups that I have. He's so capable, and in practice we have. But for ethicality and stuff like that, like I'm not letting him shoot over 250, 300. We did say 250. We got to 300. The buck was bedded down, really broadside, like opened up his face of his vitals. I had him on a tripod. He dry fired probably 10 different times on that buck, and I could see like he was confident in it, and I knew the rifle was capable. It's just whether or not he wasn't, and I could tell that his confidence was there, and it presented itself. So I just wanted to kind of be in the moment to, one, help him make a good shot, but also to just soak it in. And so I didn't film any of it. And this year I might film a little more on our own just to put some stuff together for us, like our family.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that fine line where it's capturing film for the purpose. I mean, it's how a lot of guys make a living now, and I get it, and it's a grind and it's a ton of pressure, but also like I don't know, like Jackson and I have talked, like I would rather try and capture his first one than mine. Like I don't care. Like I want it as long as like it will be there for me, like ingrained. Like I'm not worried about mine, but sometimes I think of the different things that we're going out and it's like, do we really want to try? Because like A, we're new to hunting. Yeah. B, we don't know how to shoot film well, but at least I don't. But it just, I guess it's the dilemma for hunters and social media, right?
It is. And I think, now with the nice technology of phones, like we didn't grow up with nice phones. You couldn't record some of that stuff. You had to have a handheld camcorder. Now with your phone, like you can at least capture a lot of the moments that happen throughout the hunt, like the laughing, sitting together, like that stuff that matters. I think that's easy to capture. Not necessarily have to capture the hunt itself, the shot, but you can capture that stuff to go back and look at those memories. But yeah, I mean, I get so much more excited now that he's hunting than I ever have on any animal I've ever shot. Like I get so much more amped when he has the tags in his pocket now. And so I'm looking so forward to that, him having all his tags this year. And like I said, I'm not going to fill any of my general tags until he fills his. There's no reason for him to not be with me when I'm going out, and turn into the weekend warrior because I can't pull him out of school. But like the kid, dude, he grinds. Like it's so impressive to watch him go. Like we went bear hunting last year in the snow. That first day we did like 6.5 miles with like 3,100 feet vert. And he wasn't packing a heavy pack. He had like a 10 or 12 pound pack. He was packing his water, some food, and a couple jackets. And we didn't even stay the night. And he crushed it. It was my dad, myself, and him and my wife. Actually, this was before my wife. So she'd gone with us. So it was just us three. And we get about a half a mile from the truck. It's dark now. And I wasn't going to say like, I wanted to test him. I wanted to push him to see like what his breaking point was. And we got about a half a mile from the truck. And like I said, it's dark. And he sat down and he's like, "Whew, Dad, I'm pretty tired." And I was just waiting for that to be like, "Dude, you've crushed it. Now give me your backpack. Like, I'll take your pack now." But I wasn't going to baby him throughout the hunt. Like, I wanted him to suffer a little bit to push his abilities, to see how strong he was. Because he's always been the hardest for me. Like, up until about 2 years ago, it was really hard to get him to go out in the field with me, to go hike. And once we got to the trailhead or where we were going hiking, it was fine. But from house to trailhead, it was always like he struggled. He didn't want to do it. He's a crazy smart kid. He loves books. He loves like entertaining himself by educating himself. And this last 2 years, like he's really enjoyed getting out. Now it's like all he talks about is when we go bear hunting, when we go turkey hunting. So now I'm like, all right, cool, we got him hooked, and it's awesome because I was opposite. I never spent any time inside, and I was always wanted to go, and that's how my two younger boys are. They're really driven, but now seeing him that way, like, oh, it's about to get fun because I got 3 boys, and it's about to get real incredible over the next 10 years, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fun that you're able to share that with him, and then just the memories that you guys are making and the stories that you're going to be able to tell. Mm-hmm. And like on that, like with storytelling and what you guys do, like how do you think that's going to impact the future of hunting, like the storytelling and just like the public perception? Because I feel like in general, the public perception of hunting is not as bad as it used to be.
No.
But they're still like, I'll talk to people. They're like, I mean, even my wife, she's like, yeah, like I'll have her watch some of the videos, right? That those films that you guys do. I'm like, hey, hun, like watch this. And it's just like the kill shot. She's like, it's just out there doing its thing. And I'm like, yeah. But she understands like the predator management side of it. Like I've had conversations with her and that, but anyway,
I would say, yeah, there's been a huge cultural shift, 5-7 years ago. Like it was not cool to kill bears, to hunt bears, to like people didn't understand that you were eating bears. And I think Brian and Ryan, when they first were doing this stuff, like Brian, he did a really good job. The Meat Eater crew and a few others, like they've done a really good job of helping, especially the non-hunters, kind of see that we eat the bear, we use it all, like the fat, makes the most incredible biscuits and bread that you can make. Now it's a little harder with a wolf, but when you show the damage that a wolf is doing and how much they kill, like that story is easier told because when you can show it visually what a wolf is doing, and I think, again, there's a cultural shift going on too now with even more predators. I think, like I said, 5-7 years ago, that shift has surpassed the bears, and now it's kind of moving on to the wolves. And so people are starting to understand more why we hunt the predators. Because again, it's a hard subject. It still is in certain areas, certain states, but it does help people understand when you can actually break down numbers, facts, show them visually the damages that wolf are doing, areas that, moose population are gone. Like you take the caribou herd that used to be in North Idaho, they're no longer there. They're extinct as they reintroduce the wolves. Like those caribou aren't coming back. They're gone now.
Yeah.
And, it's same with the grizzly bear. Hopefully something changes with grizzly bears. People, instead of going based off of data and biological data, they're going off of feeling, and it's not good, but I think it's changing. Like it's really changing. And I think you're going to see another cultural shift, and people are going to be more accepting to the predator management, even more so. Hopefully.
Well, and not to get into like the political side of things, but I think for a long time, people were trying to really explain, and I think it's good. Like you said, like the numbers and stats, and it's like, oh, well, this is why, and it's a lot more blunt now.
Yeah.
Like there's like a cultural shift coming back to where, and some people call it like the toxic masculinity,
right?
But I just look at it's like, no, it's like what men do. I mean,
it's been in our DNA for thousands of years.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at like the mountain men, right? It's like when people were settling and you had families out there, it was a man's responsibility to make sure that the bears and the mountain lions and the wolves like stayed away, and like you protected your family, and like, hey, this is not an area that you're supposed to come into. And I think that I think that there's good in that. I think there's good that people are just like, look, this is what I do, and if you don't like it, like pound salt. Like
exactly. And I think Brian did a really good job with the wolf hunt, the Blood in the Snow film, because he wasn't trying to apologize or talk about why we hunt wolves. He just kind of showed it. This is why we hunt wolves. The first 3 minutes of that film are watching wolves decimate elk and bison. And so it's like, you don't get to hear it. You get to visually see the repercussions that are coming from what the wolves are doing. And so again, the shift has been in a very positive note. Like we had hundreds of thousands of views on that film, and the negative comments were very few and far between, especially for a wolf film. Like it's less than 1% of comments, and we had thousands of comments on that film.
And the size of those wolves were like, it blew my mind.
Yeah. Yep. They are
full bellies, just like monsters.
Dude, and wolves are like, I've been around wolves quite a bit the last few years. Saw my first ones like in 2002 in the wild, and then in 2007 I saw them in an area that I kind of grew up in, and then in 2009 they opened up tags for wolves in that area. And coming up on elk that are still alive, that have been eaten, only the delicacies, I would say, the rear end, the guts, the nose, and those wolves just leaving them, yet the elk are still alive, like really put into perspective, they're not always killing for food. Like they're killing not necessarily for fun, but maybe it's a teaching moment for their pups, and they just happen to kind of teach them on something, eating part of the elk. And then again, because I've come up on 2 different elk and had to put them down that have still been alive, and just standing there in shock with like entrails out, it's a gruesome sight, and most people don't see that. And so when you do see that stuff, like you have a very good understanding of what a wolf is capable of, and they're not your backyard dog. Like a few years ago when Ryan shot that first wolf when we were with Adam Weatherby, you walk up on that thing, and man, they are. That
was one where it was like up on the ridge, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was the first time we put our hands on a wolf.
And that was a big. I remember seeing that, and I'm like, man, that thing is big.
Mm-hmm. And you see the head. Like we had 3 bears that were over 6 foot bears for that big mountain hunt. Like those are big bears, And when you lay that wolf next to him, one, the hide is just as big squared out. It's skinnier, but it's just as wide and tall as those bears. And you lay that skull next to a giant bear skull, and it's like that wolf skull is just as big, if not bigger, than those bear. And the way the teeth are, like, it's not your backyard dog. They are built for killing. I mean, they're all leg and head. And so they're built for speed and to crunch.
Yeah.
And so
it's crazy. It's crazy how big they are. And people just don't realize, well, I don't want to generalize all people, but they are predators. Yeah. They're predators. Like, they're designed to kill.
And I'll tell you, like, wolves, compared to cougars and bears and whatever else, the predators, wolves are so smart, and they've adapted, even from 2009. Like, I wish I'd have started hunting wolves a lot earlier, because hunting wolves now is not easy. Like, they have adapted. They've realized, like, oh, we're being hunted. They are smart. Like, they travel super fast. They're keen. Like, they're way smarter than any dog. Way smarter than any domesticated dog. Like, no questions asked.
I did an interview a few weeks back with Kate Small. And she's up in Idaho, and they have their, I think it's called the Western Wolf Academy.
Yep.
And she's like, she had talked about that, how, they are. People look at dogs and they compare them to dogs, and dogs are smart. Dogs can learn and adapt.
No comparison.
And these wolves, like, when you start doing research on them, it's, well, okay. So, like, my thought process when I first saw that they had the colossal, right? The dire wolf, I'm like, you guys thought, like, let's start with, like, the equivalent of the raptor.
Yeah.
In the predator world.
Exactly.
And my thought is like, is it really a dire wolf, or is it just dire wolf DNA spliced in with gray wolf, which we know that that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I heard their president and CEO. He was on with Glenn Beck this morning, right? And they're talking about, like, their dodo project. They're trying to bring back the dodo bird. I'm like, you should have started with that one.
Hey, Jurassic Park didn't end well. So
no. Well, it's like you've got that Jeff Goldblum scene where it's like they're sitting there taking pictures, like, oh yeah, it all starts with, like, oohs and ahs until they're hunting you.
Exactly. Well, and again, you look at Yellowstone, you look at places like North Idaho, where moose herds used to be abundant, where elk herds used to be abundant. Like, there are places where they are pretty much gone. Yeah, there are other areas. And when they say, oh, the wolves are almost endangered, it's like, the same with the grizzlies. They say they're almost endangered because they're not in this spot. Well, yeah, that particular spot, they may not be there, but the numbers are twice as large in a different area. It's like bison. Bison used to roam the whole United States. They're not close to extinction. Yeah, there are some places in Idaho and Wyoming and back in the Midwest where bison used to be that they're not there, but that's not a conversation people are having. They only want to relate it to the wolves and the predators. And so it's a hard subject. But I do think there's a cultural shift. More people, you saw it with COVID, you saw people getting out more in the outdoors, trying to hunt for their own food. Again, there's a cultural shift that's changing, and I think it's for the better.
Yeah. Well, and I've even seen it with my wife, because she, she doesn't come from a family of hunters. Like, I didn't grow up hunting. It's not something she's familiar with. Like, I grew up, I had horses and stuff like that. And I always told her, like, I want a farm. Let's go get some land and just, like, get away. And she was like, nah, like, I like my amenities and things like that. But even her now, she's like, the problem is now, like, trying to find some land.
Oh, I know.
It's like, I keep telling her, I'm like, she needs to start, like, a OnlyFans, like, for like, I'm like, if you're not going to do your feet, I'm going to do my feet.
Yeah,
but
right.
Anyway.
I know everything's so expensive. It's crazy. I mean, we grew up farming and ranching my entire life. And, it's not easy to survive being a farmer and rancher.
Yeah, but you're seeing a lot of people get like the interest in homesteading and like having even like your own chickens.
Yep.
or like grouse, right? Like they're like, people are like, hey, you should, like, if you want chickens, do grouse. It's like, grouse is way easier
Exactly.
and just as good as the others. But anyway, yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good to see the shift. I think, being able to do podcasts like this where people can listen, and it's more than just like, I mean, we've kind of been all over the gambit here today, but you get to understand people for more of, you get to see like what makes them tick and why they do some of the things that they do.
Yeah, and I think too, like on the predator side of things, Stephen Ranella said it best. He basically said, if we're not telling our story, somebody else is going to tell it for us. And when we're sharing our experiences and the data that we have, it will help those that may not have that experience that we have in the field and the numbers that we have on deer and elk and moose populations and stuff. Like if we don't share that, then they're going to continue with their story. And there's a lot of money backing their side of the story. And so we have to fight. And guys like Cliff Gray and guys like the Howl for Wildlife and stuff, they're doing a really good job advocating for those things. I'm not the best at that, and I'm not good at that, where I'm so appreciative for those organizations and those guys doing that stuff. And I want to support them anywhere I can. Again, I'm not the best at debating a non-hunter, when it comes to that stuff. And again, I'm very appreciative for organizations like that telling our story and helping people understand. And again, hopefully that there is a huge cultural shift where people are more accepting of it. And films like Blood in the Snow that Brian did, I think really help put into perspective to those non-hunters what is really happening, with those predators and how impactful they can be and decimating to your ungulates. There's a big story to be told there.
Yeah. The last thing I'll just add to that is I saw some video of grizzly bears following, a moose, and she's out and she drops her calf out there, and it's just following along. Yep. And the second it drops it, it just walks up and starts eating it alive.
You see it with black bear. Like black bear follow elk herds a lot in really open country. They follow elk herds. Grizzly bears do the same thing. And as much time that we spend out in the spring and the remote places that we go, especially spring, because a lot of those animals are pushed into tighter spaces because of snow level and stuff like that. But the amount of grizzly we see in areas is insane. Like there's a few hunts we've talked about it a couple times, but we're literally looking at like a half a mile of mountainside, and you can see 8 or 9 different grizzlies at one time. Like the numbers that they are, because they don't know. Those remote places, like we'll get back 10, 12, 15 miles. There's no counts. Like they might get a few counts with their helicopter, but they're not even close. And I mean, the amount of grizzly that we see and run-ins that we've had it's actually becoming really scary. Like really scary, because being around grizzly bears like in Alaska, Kodiak, inland Alaska, the coast of Alaska, those bears are pretty well behaved. The bears in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, where they're not hunted, those bears scare the crap out of me because they have no fear. Zero fear. They know they're the apex predator. Where in Alaska, Canada, used to be Canada, those bears were hunted. Like they understood people bad, run for the most part. Down here, these bears have no fear. None. Like we've had a lot of run-ins. We've had to shoot at some bears to try and scare them off because they just won't leave us alone. Like it's no joke. It's becoming pretty scary actually. And so like where I used to go hunt solo, I will not go hunt solo in there because I think it's stupid for me to go solo. Because all it takes is one run-in with the bear. And so I've gone back to making sure I'm with the guy in those areas and just for safety reasons.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Yep, numbers.
Brad, hey, really appreciate your time. Last question I have, just for people, whether they're new hunters or they've been hunting for a while, any wisdom that you'd want to share with them that maybe can help them in their hunting process or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, experience goes a long ways. And like I said, if you want to be a bow hunter, just doing the thing, like getting out and doing it, going to places, just trying to get as many tags as you can, to fulfill those experiences and to learn. Like, and I, even to this day, if I go to an area that I'm really familiar with, I won't. But if every new area, like I have lists and lists on my phone, I will document everything. And it's allowed me to, maybe I go back to this spot in 5 years, or I'm in the kind of the same scenario. I document everything. So I'm laying in my teepee at night. I will literally go over, like, what was the wind doing at 10 o'clock today? What was the wind doing at 1 o'clock? What were the elk doing? What were the mule deer doing at this time? What were they doing with this weather? Like, I will document everything, and that just helps educate more and more. And the more hunts you go on, the more information you're going to get, and it's going to help you out. And then getting out and doing it, like trying to go on as many hunts as you can, is definitely going to help, and putting yourself in as many opportunities as you can, whether that's going with a buddy that has a tag or trying to fill your tags. I think just getting out there and getting those experiences will help immensely. So, and honing in, shooting a lot, backpacking. Again, don't let your physical abilities be the thing that sends you home early. So I think there's a lot you could go over, but those are some of the main things.
Good. No, I appreciate the insight. Guys, if you're not, head on over to IG and give Brad a follow. It's Brad_W. Is it Hunt?
Yep.
Yep. I couldn't remember if there was an S on the end. I was going to make it plural, but yeah.
That's my last name, Brad Hunt, so it makes it easy.
Perfect. Yeah, just search him, and then we'll make sure and link to him in the show notes of the podcast. Really appreciate your time. If you guys would have a favor to ask, if you feel like you've gained something from this podcast, please share it with a friend. Send it to somebody that either likes hunting or you think may just find the conversation insightful. But and if you would, leave a comment. But other than that, appreciate everyone's time, and stay safe, and God bless.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.